Now we're rolling. Yes, Damage Plan MMA podcast. I'm Jason. As always, Zach is in the house. Dude, it's here. UFC 257 breakdown. Can we just start off with one thing?
The dumbest guy in UFC history. You know what the best part? You know what the best tweet I saw was? Somebody tweeted and said, Mike Perry could have told him that was a bad idea.
Oh, man. So, for those of you guys that don't know.
If you do something, time out. If you do something so dumb that Mike Perry goes, that wasn't very smart, you're an idiot.
You're an idiot. If Mike Perry's telling you you're an idiot, you're an idiot. But for everybody listening that doesn't know this, there is a certain fighter. His name, the Atman Asadar. I don't know if I said his name right. Asadar. I don't care what his name is. Okay, he's fighting on a Conor McGregor pay-per-view, right? Okay, this guy decides to cut off his wristband. Well, somebody in his camp cut off
him and his team. Him and his team
cut off their wristbands and give it to people outside of their little bubble they have over there. Give it to some guy. He sneaks in, right, with their wristbands. He has some bag with him. He crawls down from one hotel into Atsdar's hotel room to give him a bag full of who knows what. Dana didn't say, but yeah, exactly, Rod. What a freaking jackass. Like, you have to be the stupidest freaking human being on earth. I'm literally at a loss for words.
But I mean, and let's call it what it is too. Me and you both, we're not on this. We probably lean more on the don't care for the masks. Like, COVID isn't a pandemic that's going to wipe out the world. Like, let's get things back to normal. Not that it should be taken seriously, and not that people aren't getting sick and dying. Like, we're pretty sure you had it. Your mom's been sick for a while. You know, like, sensitive to it, but like, we're more along the lines of like, we need to figure out how to get back to normal day life, right? Just so everybody knows where we stand on this.
Yes.
Hey, dummy, you know why the UFC is able to do what they're doing? Because they've created a safe zone. He jeopardized the entire safe zone.
He jeopardized everybody, the whole fight card.
Like what if Conor got a positive test because of this? Or Poirier or Hooker or Chandler, who all have been in contact with each other. Like, what if he was the reason because he broke the protocols? The UFC has done a phenomenal job of testing, keeping it safe, doing everything. Literally the only knock you can have on them is that Dana doesn't wear a mask. Other than that, they do everything to what everybody would ever ask, and they do it. And I respect it, and I think it's awesome. And this moron goes and jeopardizes the whole thing.
Oh man, I want to know what was in the bag. What was in the bag?
Steroids.
So here, okay. Now I'm gonna go off the. We're going down the rabbit hole. We're going down the rabbit hole.
By the way, I don't know. I'm just
How often do you think stuff like this outside of COVID? How often are these fighters doing stuff like this? Like, because clearly he's doing something illegal. He's taking something clearly illegal. Something, whatever was in that bag, I guarantee was illegal.
Yeah, 100%.
Some type of PD, something, because he's not going to have to piss test, right? Well, he would after, so he could fail. So maybe it wasn't. Maybe he just wanted to smoke a joint before the fight. I don't know. All I know is the guy is a freaking moron. Now he's cut from the UFC. Does he get another chance? Does he get 6 months to come back?
No, I saw somebody, but my guy Curtis was like, yeah, he'll be back in 6 months. Not a chance. 1, nobody knows who you are. You're not a super shark. You're dead to Dana White. You're dead to him. 2, the roster's overinflated as is with no-name guys.
Yeah, that's true.
Already.
That's true.
Like, you just made an easy extra cut for Dana. Dana's like, cool, bye.
Yeah. Oh, man. I can't believe you do this on a freaking pay-per-view card. You're risking. Well, you lost your job, but you literally risked everybody's livelihood.
It says
if I'm every fighter on that card, he's lucky somebody didn't beat his ass.
Lightweight out after sneaking guest into fighter hotel. Yeah.
But Dana said in that interview that it was he had a bag and he like shimmied his way down from one hotel room to another to sneak into his hotel room.
What a donkey.
Idiot.
Now he's a 13-0 fighter from Germany, 10 career knockouts.
He's got some pretty good. I mean, he's an up and coming guy.
Okay, you know what? I won't say it never gets back in, because if he goes to one championship or somewhere and rattles off 4 or 5 more wins, maybe the UFC would consider it again. But you donkey, because you'll be forever known for this. You moron.
Especially, like you said, during this pandemic, when everybody's doing everything they can to give us the sport. Dana's done everything to be able to provide us to be able to watch the fights, and this idiot wants to cut off his freaking. This is some shit you do at the local fights. Hey, I'm going to cut off my wristband and give it to my buddy, and I'm going to sneak in the back door at Steel Fist or something. Not that I do it, Kevin. I didn't do it. I don't know that people do it. I'm just using that as an example because I love you. So don't blackball me, Kevin. Kevin's going to be like, Jason's not allowed to the Steel Fist fights anymore.
Oh my gosh. No, it's just, I mean.
We just rattled off almost 10 minutes of just this idiot.
I'm at a loss for words.
I am too.
Like, at what point does he go, this could jeopardize my whole life and career?
Well, I don't know.
Like, you think Dana White doesn't have that freaking hotel under surveillance like a crazy person? Dana's a control freak. He probably has cameras in the hotel rooms.
They have it all on camera. He said they have everything on camera. You think in a place like that everything's not on camera? Like,
so I have let's go ahead. Before we break down the card, here's another fun one for me. I'm really intrigued about this whole Dana White going after the streamers.
It sounded like it was one guy. It sounded like
so I sent you an interview that he did on Twitter.
Yeah,
and he said, because all these people are mocking him, right? And everybody on social media and stuff is like, "Ha, good luck, no, never gonna catch me." Like, they are all
right.
That's funny. But he's all, and he's like, and they're all mocking him. And Dana's not really the guy that's just gonna put up with that too much. And he said he was getting mocked, and he pointed one guy out that was mocking him and said, "We're going to get you, MFer," basically. Like, go ahead, turn that stream on. We're going to get you. He says he has his phones tapped and his house being watched. I don't buy that for a second.
That's a little stretch. No.
But I'll bet you they're monitoring that guy's IP address. And if it shows that he logs onto his streaming website, I'll bet you they arrest him and prosecute him.
He's going to get a letter in the mail.
No, he's not getting a letter in the mail. I'll bet you. I bet you he is going to get arrested if he does it. Like, that's the other thing. One, if you're going to rip off the UFC and illegally stream the fights and do that, don't poke the bear while you're doing it. Just get a VPN, and not that I condone this. Get a VPN and just do it. Just he can't stop it. That's the other thing. People are like, "What's he going to do?" He can't stop it. But the people that are doing it on social media, bragging about doing it and trying to wave it in the UFC's face and Dana White's face, he's not going to get everybody, but he is going to go, "You know what? This guy's annoying." And he's going to get that one guy. And then somebody else is going to do it, and he's going to get that one guy. He's like, "Hey, you can't touch me." And then he's going to get that. If you're going to do it, don't be stupid. You don't go 90 miles an hour in a 45 when you know a cop's sitting there in a speed trap.
Yeah.
You go 90 miles an hour when you know there's no cops around.
Yeah.
Just kidding. I don't
speed. We don't speed. We don't use VPNs. I don't even know what a VPN is.
I don't even know what VPN stands for.
Me neither. All right. Should we break down the card?
Shout out Ryan Heater, your profile picture. I'm a Braves fan. Very sad day for Braves and baseball. Hank Aaron died. The real home run king. Didn't have to use steroids to hit all his bombs. I love Hank Aaron. Hank Aaron.
Shout out Little Rai and the Cubbies.
I'm not a mourn over celebrities' deaths, but like I love Hank Aaron. That's a sad day for baseball.
Yeah, that's It is. It is. When somebody like that passes away, it is. It's kind of like the.
He's just a good guy.
You remember? Yeah. It kind of brings me back to the Kobe Bryant thing. Like, man, that just hit everybody. Like,
and I hated Kobe.
I hated him too.
And it bugged me out for a week plus.
I'm like, oh man, this hurts. This stings a little bit. But yeah.
I saw the greatest replay of a Kobe Bryant commercial. One of my top 5 favorite commercials ever. Remember he bumps in the hotel lobby with Jalen, your boy, Jalen Rose.
Jalen Rose.
And he's like, hey, man. And they said something about a dig about him not getting a statue right away in front of the Staples Center. And there was this whole thing about it. And Kobe's like, I don't pay attention to that. And Jalen's like, oh, good. And the guy comes and asks him for a drink. And he goes, I'll have a martini. And he goes, how many olives? And he looks at Jalen and goes, 81. And just stares at him.
Because
Jalen was on that Raptors team that he hung 81 on.
He was guarding most of the time too.
And then Kobe's like, just kidding, just 2. It's just a joke for him. He gets the joke.
Yeah.
It's like just.
Yeah.
Anyways, sidetrack. Let's get to the fights.
Let's get to the fights now. All right. UFC 257 breakdown. First fight of the night. Amir Albazi and Zagalis Zumagulov.
That's way to go. At first I glanced at this card and I was just like, there's not a lot to it besides the co-main and main event. And then I kind of dug into it to make my picks. A lot of fun fights.
There is some fun fights.
And I like this one. I think this is a close one. The odds makers have it almost a coin flip. Yep. And they have it heavy that it'll go over 2.5. So they're saying the most likely is somebody's going to win a decision.
I like that too. But who are you picking?
I like Amir Albazi. He's this little bit of an underdog, but I like the competition that he's been in. He's 13-1. He's a fighter out of London, England. I like that he beat Malcolm Gordon via triangle choke. He's got a bunch of wins by submission and ground and pounds, Kimuras, punches, rear naked choke, elbows and punches, Kimura. Like he's got all these wins, but he's done it on big stages before. Bellator, and then fought a couple fights in Brave, and already has a win in the UFC earlier this year. I like Amir on this one.
I am riding with you on this one. I like Amir as well. I like the younger fighter. He's younger. And we're kind of going against our podcast rules here because we are not taking the guy from Kazakhstan.
That's not Russia, is it? Is Kazakhstan officially Russia?
It all sounds the same. That's close enough.
That's racist, bro.
Unity, Zach. We are all about unity now.
Are we?
No, okay. We won't go there. Okay. No, I do like Amir Albazi, and I like it by decision. I think he wins by decision, and if you're looking for a bet, you're going to get plus 195 if you take him by decision.
What's him by submission?
Ooh, plus 500.
I kind of like that. I don't hate it.
I don't think Zumagulov's ever been submitted.
Well, that's fine.
Not that he's only had one fight in the UFC, which was in July, and he lost the decision. But he's never been submitted. So I don't know if I like the decision prop. If you like the submission prop, then
submission prop, just because he's got a submission win in the UFC and he gets a lot of shoulder locks, Kimuras, and he's got a rear naked choke and a triangle choke on his. I mean, he's obviously a player in the game.
All right, so we're both in agreement here. We both like Albazi, at least by decision. So next fight up on the night is going to be Nick Lentz against Movsar Evloev. Who do you like on this one?
Well, Evloev is a 6-1 favorite. Huge favorite, right?
Huge favorite.
13-0. He's knocking on the door of getting in the top 10 of that featherweight division, or top 15 of the featherweight division. He's a late replacement. Nick Lentz needed a dance partner. They're going to do it at 150. And man, I had a hard time with this because it's like, obviously Evloev's a monster. Nick Lentz is plus 400. But Nick Lentz has also had 43 fights, professional fights.
That's That's the one thing that's.
And he's been in there with everybody. Arnold Allen, Charles Oliveira twice, lost to him both times. Scott Holtzman, Gray Maynard, Will Brooks, Danny Castillo, Chad Mendez. Hasn't lost to Chad Mendez. I mean, he's been in there with, and he's been in the UFC since 2009. 2009. It's like, dude, he's been around forever. He's a veteran. Unfortunately, he's on a 2-fight losing streak. He's 2-3 in his last 5 since 2018. So it's like, I would not put. I don't know. I mean, I think Evlov wins, but I think it's closer to it than a 6. I think there could be a moment in that fight where Nick Lentz makes you worry if you decide to put Evlov on all your parlays or something like that.
I do too. I his experience. I think Evilov's going to end up getting it done. He's got a 4-inch reach advantage.
Oh, he's huge.
I think he's big. I think he just ends up picking him apart. I mean, Nick Lentz, he does have a nasty guillotine choke. I just don't think he can do it because if I'm not mistaken, I think who did Evilov fight had him in a choke and he didn't end up pulling it off. And I can't remember who it was. Maybe it was Grundy.
Yeah.
So Grundy and Lentz were actually supposed to be that was supposed to be the fight. And not that MMA math works, but Evilov did beat Grundy. But I'm going with Evilov. I think this goes to decision too. First 2 fights of the night, I think, go to decision. But
yeah, you know what? I do too.
I think we are going to have a KO though in our next fight with Khalil Roundtree and Marcin Prokhnio.
I have Khalil Roundtree by knockout.
We're 3 for 3, Zach. We're 3 for 3. I like that too.
I think Khalil. I think he's just a different animal now. He changed some things. I know he lost his last fight.
Yep.
Kutuleba is dangerous, obviously, and he's what we like to call the berserker, right? Like he's the ultimate berserker, and if he catches you, you're in trouble. But if he doesn't, like he got put to sleep himself in his last fight. I think Roundtree. I think he's too much for Marcin. I think he knocks him out. Are you ready for this? I think he knocks him out via leg kicks.
Ooh, he has been training Muay Thai. I know he's been working on his Muay Thai.
I think he kicks his legs out from under him and destroys him and takes his legs away from him.
Yeah.
I don't know if he knocks him out from leg kicks, but I'm going to say the leg kicks are going to set up the knockout.
And he's coming, and Pragnio's coming off of 3 straight losses. Three straight first round knockouts.
That's tough.
That's real tough. Look, what's the odds on this?
For Roundtree?
Over 1.5 is plus 150. Roundtree to win by KO TKO is minus 190. He's almost a 2-1 favorite to knock him out. Like they're pretty much telling you what's going to happen.
The books are pretty high on that then.
Yeah. I'm taking Roundtree on this one. All right. Let's move on to the next one because I know we're going to have a lot to talk about when we get towards the end. Sarah McMahon and Juliana Pena. Who do you like in this one?
Who do you like in this one? I'm hoping that we disagree finally.
It's
a coin flip, pretty much a coin flip with Juliana Pena being a little slight underdog.
I'm taking Pena. And I know.
Dang it, Jason.
I'm taking Pena. I do feel that McMahon, I think she's the stronger fighter. I think she could kind of push her around and use her strength possibly to her advantage. Because if I'm not mistaken, Pena just lost to Jermaine Durandamy, right?
Yep.
Was that her last one? And she got kind of manhandled. I don't think that's going to happen 2 fights in a row. Pena's got a 3-inch reach advantage. I think she's going to fight a little smarter. And McMahon, she's 40 years old. Not knocking the 40 years olds, but because I am one. But I'm going Pena. I think Pena wins.
You know why I think Pena wins?
Why?
She's had 2 losses into the UFC. Valentina Shevchenko and Jermaine Durandamy. That's it.
highlight reel Valentina Shevchenko lost.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the only people she loses to in the UFC.
I think it's going to be a close fight.
She lost to our girl, Deanna Bennett, at Showdown Fights here in Utah.
Shout out, Deanna.
In Showdown Fights in 2013, okay? Juliana Pena, they were on the undercard for a Clay Collard, Jordan Clements, Jason South, Casey Escola. I mean, that card was huge. Jerome Hatch versus Josh Vanderveer. Little did we know that Juliana Pena would, be in the UFC. But dude, since that fight, those are only 2 losses back in 2013. Yeah. I think the odds should be flipped a little bit. I think Pena should be the minus 130. But
I think Pena outpoints her. I think her striking is going to be better. She's going to keep the distance.
And I think her grappling's better.
And that's where I think Pena might be. If she can get her down, because she's so strong. Not Pena, but McMahon. She's strong.
So is Pena, though. It's a good fight.
But we're both on Pena. I don't know if I'm going to bet that one, but I do like Pena.
No.
Next up, we got Brad Tavares against Antonio Carlos Jr. Where are we at on this one, Mr. Partridge?
I got my guy, Brad Tavares. He's just a slight favorite. It's a close fight. I just think Brad has a little bit too much experience. He's had more fights, 9 more fights than Antonio Carlos. Antonio Carlos, he is world-class jiu-jitsu. And that's awesome. But he's been fighting strikers and losing.
Yeah.
If he can get it to the ground, it's over. He beats Brad Tavares. But getting Brad Tavares to the ground is not an easy task. Brad's a big, strong, physically imposing guy. Yeah, I got Brad.
I'm going to follow up on that too. I'm going to follow you on that one. I like Brad Tavares on that one too. I think he gets it done. I don't think you nailed it. his path to victory is getting us to the ground, and I don't think he's going to be able to. So I am on Tavares too, and I actually think he may win by a KO or a TKO, either one.
Yeah, I can see it. He's got heavy hands.
Next up, we had a little mix-up on this fight. So we had some guys miss a little bit of weight.
A lot of weight.
But they ended up putting Arman Sakarian against
missed weight by 4 pounds.
Frivola. So they were both scheduled to fight. Arman was supposed to fight Nasrat.
Yep.
And Frivola was supposed to fight our boy that decided to sneak his buddies in.
Yep.
Hey, shout out to UFC for getting these guys to come together and fight.
Save the fight for at least the ones that can.
Kind of threw my picks off a little bit, but I still feel confident with it.
Who do you got?
I think Arman's going to take this.
Gosh dang it, man. We are on the same page. I mean, just so you guys know, I've written these down.
Yeah, mine's highlighted.
We haven't even talked. This is crazy. So that means we're probably both dead wrong on all these. Pick the other way. No, Matt, I like Frivola. He won a split decision against Luis Pena that I didn't agree with. Got another decision with I don't know. He hasn't wowed me yet.
Yeah, I do
like his extensive amateur career, but he just hasn't wowed me that much. And great nickname, Steamroller Frivola.
Steamroller, I do like that. That is a good nickname. Really good nickname. All right, let's go to the next one. This is probably
the main card. We're on to the main card. This is pay-per-view time.
The main card. Actually, I think this fight's going to be. This is one where I think could go. Amanda Ribas has a ton of hype. This is for the Amanda Ribas Marina Rodriguez breakdown. Amanda Ribas she's got a ton of hype. She's a freaking savage, and I want to say she's like a 3-1 favorite. Is that what the odds are? Yeah, she's a 3-1 favorite.
You know why she's a 3-1 favorite?
because she's a freaking savage.
She's a freaking savage, dude.
Here's the thing. Here's what I'm going to caution people on. Marina Rodriguez is tough, and I think she's actually the better striker out of the two. I think she's a little bit more powerful on her feet. There is a path for victory for her here. I don't think she gets it done, but I wouldn't be surprised if she ends up eking this one out against Amanda Ribas. What do you think? What's your take on this one?
I think Amanda Ribas destroys her.
She's a savage, man. Like
Ribas, you got to understand, she's like the Grim Reaper for these girls coming up right now. Set her up with Mackenzie Dern. Cool. I'll take away her O. Undefeated fighter Mackenzie Dern. I'm gonna take her O away.
She did get touched in that fight a little bit, though.
Sure, she did.
Dern touched her a little bit.
And Mackenzie's showed like she's got some good, strong, powerful striking, and it didn't bother Ribas at all. She does not mind. She doesn't mind it. She doesn't shy away from it. It'd be one thing that if like she got cracked and she like hurt her and she like didn't like getting hit. No, dude, she's a savage. I mean, this is also the same girl that when the UFC wanted Paige Van Zandt to go away and not have to deal with that anymore, they fed her to Amanda Ribas and she mauled her.
Yeah, she did maul her.
And all the knocks on Paige. Paige is a tough girl. Dude, I'm not saying Marina Rodriguez. I think Marina Rodriguez would beat Paige Van Zandt too. I'm not trying to say anything there. But I think this line is nothing indicative of trying to disrespect Marina Rodriguez in any way, shape, or form. She's a tough girl. She's a tough fighter and has a bright future. Mm-hmm. Amanda Ribas, like you said, though, is an absolute savage. And I mean, she's a future contender. Like she's going to climb those ranks quick because that's where she's at right now.
Yeah, she's on her way up. I mean, she hasn't lost since 2015. She's got the win over Mackenzie Dern when, like you said, when Mackenzie Dern was undefeated. Ronda Marcos, Paige Van Zandt. The UFC's building her up. She has, and she's fun. Like she's got that superstar quality about her where people want to watch her.
She's got the swagger.
She's a cute girl. That helps.
Okay, but that's the other thing though. She's got the swagger. Like
yep.
I mean, I'm not kidding. If you told me Amanda Ribas versus she wins this fight, Joanna or Carla Esparza or any of those girls in the top 4, that's where she goes from here. Like, and personally for me, they're like you said, they're building her the right way.
Yeah, they really are.
She's there right now in my eyes. I think she's every bit on those girls' levels right now. Because there's just not that many girls that have that like vicious killer instinct the way that she does.
I really tried to make a case for Marina Rodriguez and I failed.
Sorry.
That's all right. I am all on Ribas. So both of our picks are on Ribas. Okay. Next up, we got Andrew Sanchez against Mahmoud Marudov.
So I tried really hard to go with El Dirty Sanchez on this one. Did you go with Sanchez?
Are we going to have any disagreements on this card?
I think we will. I actually think we will. Muradov's he's on a 13-fight winning streak. He's on a tear. Good fight.
I think he's too much. I
think he's too much. He overwhelms Sanchez.
And he's part of Floyd Mayweather's money team too, right?
Yes, I do.
I mean, that's
reason to pick against him too, but
I think money team's a little smarter than to just throw anybody on their team.
I agree.
Speaking of that, you know who else has been training? Well, we'll get to that because that's on the next fight. There's somebody else that's been training on this card that's been training with the money team. So we're both going on Rudolph. You're on Rudolph too? I think he finishes him. I think he finishes him too.
Yes, that wouldn't surprise me.
What's the line on that? Let's look that up real quick. It's actually the odds are pretty close on this.
Yeah, no, it's you're gonna get really, really good. If you like Rudolph, you're gonna get a good value on that. -1.
Rudolph inside the distance is +215. I really like that. I like that.
Yeah.
Rudolph inside the distance. That's a good one. If you want to go
that's
KO, TKO, it's a plus 235, but I like the inside the distance on this fight.
Nice.
All right. Jessica Joanne Calderwood. This is another coin flip fight, I think, too.
Is it?
Jessica she's been training with the money team down in Vegas, working on those hands. Is it going to be enough?
So I love Joanna Calderwood. I love JoJo. I'm a huge fan of hers. She was in line for the title defense, didn't want to wait for Valentina, went and fought Jennifer Maia, lost, kind of a heartbreaker, kind of a bummer. But she's a fighter's fighter, and I like her. And I don't know what it is. There's something about Jessica Eye. She kind of rubs me the wrong way. Not a big fan of hers. So I hate to say it, but I have Jessica Eye winning this fight.
Oh, we're going to disagree on this one.
Finally, we disagree. I hope you're right then, and I hope I'm wrong. I think Jessica Eye is too physically imposing for JoJo. A lot, like if JoJo has one knock, it's that she can get overpowered a little bit. She got overpowered by Jennifer Maia. She got overpowered by Caitlin Chikaki. Yeah. She gets overpowered by Cynthia Calvillo and Jessica Andrade. Big, strong girls have a lot of success against her, and Jessica Eye is a physically imposing, big, strong girl. And I mean, Jessica Eye is the only person to hand Vivian Araujo her only loss. We just saw how good she is, and how much she dominated Roxanne.
You really could flip a coin, in my opinion.
MMA math doesn't always work. What's up, Tanner? MMA doesn't always work, but she won a split decision, a decision against Caitlin Chikagian, who beat JoJo. It's just for me. There's I don't think Jessica Eye is she's not an elite girl. I don't think she's ever gonna sniff the belt, honestly, because Valentina's there, obviously. But I think she's a gatekeeper. You look at who she's lost to, and then who she beats. You could kind of slide her into the gatekeeper of that division. She's tough to get past, and I just don't think JoJo. Like I said, I just think it's a bad matchup for JoJo. I understand that she has the skill set. It's just a bad matchup in my eyes. All right. But finally, we disagree, so I'll take it.
Yeah, we'll disagree, man. I mean, I don't think you're wrong. I mean, I could see it going either way on this one.
I'm rooting for JoJo. For the record, I'm rooting for JoJo.
All right, let's get into co-main event. We got Michael Chandler and Dan Hooker, Hangman.
Who do you like?
Man, I literally keep going back and forth. But if there's one thing that we are consistently talking about on this podcast is there's levels to this, right? Like there's levels to this. The question is Michael Chandler at that level to jump right into the UFC and fight a top 6 guy, a top 10, we'll just call it top 10 guy in Dan Hooker. Can he oppose his will and get him to the ground? I don't know. I don't know. I look back and I'm looking at some of his losses that he's had, Michael Chandler's had. He gets knocked out by Pitbull. He gets but he had doctor stoppage in the Brett Primus fight a couple years ago. Gets knocked out in 2014, knocked out, 2 split losses. I'm gonna go Hooker, man.
So
I'm gonna go Hangman.
I've been telling people Hooker.
You could probably change my mind. You really could. I was super impressed with Chandler at the face-offs this morning, watching them face off. He's ready. Like he's ready.
So,
but I just like what Hooker brings to the table. I like him training at City Boxing. He's training down there with some killers. Chandler's not going to throw anything at him that he hasn't seen before that he's not seen during this training camp. And Chandler shoots. If Chandler tries to shoot for a takedown, you could see a knee coming straight up the middle and going night. Talk me out of it.
I've been on Hooker all week. I've been leaning towards it. I think he's too much, this, that, whatever. I flip-flopped. I'm on Michael Chandler. I have Michael
Chandler now.
I have Michael Chandler winning a decision. He is 34 years old.
Yeah.
And it's not like Hooker is like lacking in experience. The dude's got 29 fights and fought tons of guys. Poirier, Felder,
in a freaking war.
Gilbert Burns, Jim Miller. He's fought all these guys. The one thing that this is just a gut thing for me because on paper, logically, I feel like Dan Hooker should win this fight.
He's going to have a huge reach advantage.
My gut is telling me Michael Chandler because one thing and one thing only. This is it for him.
Yeah.
This is it. If he goes and he gets knocked out by Dan Hooker, kiss any aspirations of becoming the 155 champ goodbye. Your next fight's probably against Tony Ferguson for like a loser leaves the rankings match.
If this fight was in Vegas, would you lean more towards Chandler in the smaller ring with his wrestling?
Not necessarily. Would
you feel the same if this fight was in Vegas at the PI Center?
Yeah. It's not as much for me. This fight actually isn't as much about X's and O's and strategy as like who wants it more. And I have a hard time with that because I'm more of a logical X's and O's type of guy, and attributes and looking at reach and skill sets and things like that. Like I'm viewing this fight for Michael Chandler, and like you said at the weigh-ins, I listened to a couple things that he said, and I don't think that this can be underestimated. When he says, "I've been living my whole life for this moment," because all he's heard for his entire reign as the man in the UFC, his entire reign, all he heard was, "Well, you're in Bellator, you're not the UFC champ, so it doesn't matter."
Yeah.
And he said, every time I was training, I was not training to be the Bellator champ. I was training for my one day to have my opportunity to rise to the top to be in the UFC. I get that on paper, it looks like he should lose. I think that I think it's a different level. I think the motivation and like that want and that desire is just different from him. And I feel it. And I know Hooker's like, taking me down's not easy and stuff like that. I think Michael Chandler goes in there like a man possessed. And I think he's a veteran. He does have more experience than Hooker, even though Hooker's got tons of experience and has more fights than him. But Chandler's a lifelong wrestler that's turned into a very competent, powerful striker as well. I think he can mix it up, and it's not like Chandler's impossible to knock out or Hooker's impossible to knock out. He's been knocked out before.
Yeah, Edson Barbosa with a body shot.
I think Michael Chandler has the. It's not about X's and O's and much, but I think he has the desire and the pressure and the willpower to get it done. It's not like Dan Hooker isn't going to get there. I think he's going to have his day when he's a contender and maybe even holds a belt.
He's only 30 years old too.
I think he's still a couple years away from that. And it's just tough that he lost his last fight. And so I'm sure his desire is pretty strong to get in there. But I mean, Michael Chandler, I think Michael Chandler, I think he grinds out a decision victory. I mean, I wouldn't even be surprised if it's like a split decision or a 29-28 close fight, but I think Michael Chandler causes and that's the other thing. Dan Hooker isn't anything Michael Chandler hasn't seen before.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100%.
You want to talk about the team Dan Hooker trains with, City Kickboxing, Israel Adesanya, those guys, right? Volkanovski. He trains with those guys. Michael Chandler trains with Usman and Gilbert Burns.
Yeah,
who Gilbert and was probably a main training partner for Gilbert when Gilbert was training to fight Dan Hooker.
Yeah,
I get like there are reasons, and there are things that there is a path to victory for Michael Chandler here. But at the end of the day, I think it's going to come down to who wants it more. And Dan Hooker's going to have to land something to put Michael Chandler's lights out. And if he doesn't, I think Chandler wins.
I could see Chandler grinding this one out. I don't think he'll finish Hooker. Hooker's tough, man. I think he's only been finished twice in his almost 30 fights. Like
took a beating from Poirier.
Oh yeah, Poirier could. I mean, he dished it right back too. Like he was throwing. I'm really excited about it. I could see it going either way. I'm going to stick with my pick. I'm going to stick with Hooker, but I'm not knocking anything you said about Chandler because there's something to be said for a guy that just wants it. And you probably are right with him. He probably wants it more. I after watching those guys at the weigh-ins at the face-off, you could just tell he's ready. He's in the zone. He's ready.
Right now, this is his life. This is his legacy. This is his everything. Dan Hooker is viewing Michael Chandler as another stepping stone.
Yep.
A different mentality.
I'm hoping he's not underestimating him, but all right. So we had to go to the last. We're different on the last two fights. I know we're going to be in agreement on this one, but the Notorious one's back, man. And we talked about it before we went on air. How many fans do you think Conor is gaining this last year after the Cerrone fight and now this lead up to the Poirier fight?
Well, I think everybody with the Cerrone fight was still like the people that didn't like him were a little bit more like, let's see if this is really who he is now.
Yep.
I think we're seeing a genuine Conor McGregor here. It feels very genuine.
I'm not gonna lie, man. I've always appreciated what he's done. I always thought he was a great fighter. I just never thought he was. I didn't like some of the antics, even though he backed it up. I thought he went a little bit overboard with the Khabib thing, which I think a lot of people did. But I mean, I'm impressed, man. I have been 100% impressed with the way that he's handled things, and I think it's helped. And I saw a tweet on it the other day. I think he's gotten to that level. He's matured enough in this game where he doesn't have to do those things anymore. He doesn't have to talk smack to his opponents anymore. Like he doesn't need to do that. He's proven what he can do.
Yeah.
And he's
the man and he knows it now. He's not trying to do anything.
And it seems like he's on a mission now where, a couple of years ago, he kind of went through a little spell. He's getting, punching old guys in the bar. He's kind of went off the path. But I think now
let me be clear about this. He was snorting a whole bunch of cocaine.
Yeah.
And the money got to him and he thought he was untouchable.
Yep.
And honestly, in his personal life, he probably thought that he was on the verge of losing. He realized like he was on the verge of losing things.
Yeah.
That'll change him here.
Oh, and it changed him. I'm just impressed. I think he's on a mission. I think he's on a mission to get Khabib to come back. I think he wants that Khabib fight again. And if you give him 2 more wins, like we talked about it yesterday, 2 more wins, it might pique Khabib's interest to come back. And I know you and I both said he ain't coming back, but he flatlines Poirier and then beats a Gaethje or whoever, Oliveira beats somebody the next up in line. You might just get Khabib to come back. I mean,
what do you think this fight looks like with Poirier?
I've heard a lot of people saying, "Oh, Conor's going to knock him out in the first." I don't. This isn't going to look anything like. I don't think it's going to look like the first fight. Poirier's he's a different fighter. It's been 6 years. He's fighting at his natural weight class, more of a natural weight class at 155 versus the first fight at 145. I think he knows Conor's going to try to come out fast because Conor usually comes out fast, and I think Poirier is going to be ready for it. I just think by the end of the second round, halfway through the second round, maybe the beginning of the third round is when the lights are going to get turned out.
I'm predicting late first or in the second. I think this fight looks very similar to the Eddie Alvarez fight.
I can see that.
I went back and watched the Conor. I've watched the Conor Eddie Alvarez fight.
Yeah,
100 times. Conor talks about painting a masterpiece. That was as clean of a performance as anybody's ever had in a title fight. that went longer than his 13-second one with Aldo, where he just touched him wherever. And Conor has a way of getting people to move to his power instead of circling the correct way. He has a way of making them so aware of those hook kicks and spinning kicks and everything that he does that they start wanting to circle away from those. When they do that without realizing they're circling into his power. Dustin Poirier, I think this is ultimately going to be Poirier's downfall. I don't think he's going to smoke him in 60 seconds. If he does, holy crap. Like that, we're going to be, Poirier's shown he's extremely durable at 155, right? Got into an all-violent fight with Gaethje and Eddie Alvarez. One thing that I noticed when I watched Dustin Poirier's fight with Eddie Alvarez was striking and whatever. He poured it on and overwhelms him. He gets better and stronger, but they both landed a lot. Like they had a really nice war, and hey Cherie, and they had a really nice war that Poirier bettered Eddie Alvarez and that's that is something in Poirier's favor to show that he's improved.
Yeah.
But he didn't beat Eddie Alvarez the way that Conor did and made it look so easy. And he got hit by Eddie Alvarez, and Conor didn't really get touched by Eddie Alvarez. And and Poirier's not the same fighter then, but I mean, I've been listening to different people break down this fight. Chael, DC, these people. One thing that Chael said, right? The gap between those two when they first fought was pretty wide. Dustin has obviously gotten better.
Yeah.
But I think Conor's better too. I don't think he's closed that gap all the way to where he's got it to where it's almost even or above.
Yeah.
Here's that. Go ahead.
And not to interrupt you, but here's another thing that really sticks out with me. Poirier's taken a lot of damage over the years. McGregor hasn't.
Right.
McGregor's taken the time off. He fought Cerrone, finishes the fight.
It's fresh.
Poirier just had freaking war, a war with Dan Hooker 6 months ago. Loses to Khabib, beats Max Holloway, Eddie Alvarez, Justin Gaethje. I mean, like this, and he gets touched in all these fights. Like, it's not like he's just walking through this. He's taking some punishment. And I just think McGregor is the better striker. He's going to be fresher. And I don't know. You asked me the question yesterday. What's the path of victory for Poirier? What's his path of victory?
His path to victory. So this actually goes into my second point. Dustin Poirier has acknowledged and is aware of how fast Conor is and how hard he hits.
Yeah.
If I am going into a fight with somebody that I know is faster than me, I know I'm going to get hit more because he's fast. My key is making sure that when I land, it counts.
Yeah.
That I sting him a little bit more. Is that Dustin Poirier's style, though? And is he automatically going to take himself out of what he does best, which is he's a volume puncher where he he pours it on people. His path to victory is survive the hurricane for the first 2 rounds. And as Conor fades, right, or whatever, I don't think Conor's knocking him out in the 3rd, 4th, 5th round. I mean, they might go the distance, but I don't think Conor's knocking him out at that point, where I actually think Poirier has the ability to put people away in those rounds. When he gets going and he gets off on people in the 4th and 5th, those championship rounds, which he's shown before. That's when he stopped Justin Gaethje.
Yeah.
He has that ability to weather those storms and go through that punishment, but it's not with somebody like Conor. Conor lost to Khabib. This is ultimately what I'm getting at. Conor lost to Khabib, I feel like, or didn't give himself a chance against Khabib. He was so worried about stopping the takedown, he didn't fight his fight. And then he gets clobbered with an overhand, right?
He was so worried about it, yeah.
Because he's so worried about it. His hands were low. His defense wasn't where it should have been because he was so worried about it. He got out of what he does and he was waiting to try and do something that wasn't natural instead of just reacting and fighting his fight. Yeah. I'm concerned that that's what Dustin Poirier is going to subconsciously do. He knows that Conor hits hard. He knows that he's faster than him, and he's going to try. I'm worried that his game plan is going to be to try and he's going to be too worried about the speed. And I think that ultimately is going to be his demise, because at the end of the day, you can't simulate that speed and his precision. And it beats it, like Conor said, it beats timing and power. Speed beats, timing beats speed, and, precision beats power every time. And that's what Conor's mastered. If Dustin Poirier wants to win this fight, he needs to go in there and he needs to close the distance, and he needs to grab Conor and put him on the cage, and to put him on the cage and keep him there and use his dirty boxing and take away that space and that range. Dustin's the bigger fighter. Conor is freakishly long for his size too.
Yes, he is. Yeah. Yep.
And that's another thing that it's hard to deal with. These people look at Conor's not a huge guy. But his arms, he looks like a gorilla in there with his arms.
Yeah.
And I love Dustin Poirier. If anybody is going to beat Conor McGregor, I hope it's the Dustin Poiriers, it's the Gaethjes. I am big fans of these guys. And everybody knows I love Conor, but I am not rooting against Dustin Poirier in any way, shape, or form in this fight. But I don't see it, man. I really don't. And I think Conor makes it look a lot like the Eddie Alvarez fight. I think he's too fast. I think he stings him a couple times. And another thing is too, when Poirier gets hurt, his body language in the past kind of shows it. Yeah. And if you show Conor you're hurt, you're done. You are done.
I mean,
yeah, I don't see it for him. I think if he can grab Conor, use his weight, kind of wrestle with him a little bit, make him use his energy and zap all that power out of his arms early by making him scramble, clinch, fight in the clinch, dirty box in the clinch, up against the cage, put Conor up against the cage and do stuff like that. I think that is Dustin's chance and where he can have success. Whether he can do it and execute it or not, I just don't know.
Would you say that if this fight, let's just say it goes to if it's in the third round, if it gets to the third round, I really like Poirier's chances going forward.
So
from what we've seen in the past from McGregor, I'm not saying it'll happen, but I think if he can weather that storm, that's kind of the
Let me give you this. Conor him and Nate Diaz 2. Conor wins rounds 1 and 2. Weathers Nate's storm in 3 and 4. Conor starts coming back towards the end of the 4th round in that Diaz fight, even though Nate won the 4th. And then Conor wins the 5th round to win by majority decision. Conor wins the 3rd round against Khabib.
Yeah, but I'm not counting that.
That's stupid. Why wouldn't you count it?
Because I think Khabib specifically stood that whole round just to prove a point.
Okay.
Just to try to prove a point.
Okay. But what I'm saying is the first 2 rounds Khabib tried, and what I'm trying to point out is Conor was not gassed in that 3rd round.
Yeah.
Khabib. I think you have to believe him when he says he's addressed his cardio issues and he's ready, and his brain's ready for that.
I can see that.
If that's the case, Dustin's screwed. If that's the case, Dustin is screwed. If Conor can keep a pace where he's doing his striking and his stuff and not draining himself trying to, like he did in the Nate Diaz fight when they fought 170, if he really can do that for 4 to 5 rounds and be strong, Dustin Poirier might win a round, maybe 2. I think Conor could. I think very easily. I could see there's a scenario where Conor doesn't put him away and Conor beats him 49-46, 48-47. Oh, and there's this, by the way, too. Who makes more money than anybody in the UFC for the UFC?
Conor, clearly.
Conor, right?
By far.
I'm sorry, Uncle Dana. I applaud you for everything you've done. If that fight goes to decision, I don't think there's any way Conor loses. Unless it's lopsided. If it's close, he's getting the nod.
Yeah.
Am I accusing of collusion? Maybe.
Hey, we've seen some horrible decisions. So
I mean, you know what I mean, and like bias and stuff like that, dude. If it's close, there's no way Dustin gets the nod over Conor, and that's just what Dustin's up against. That's the hardest part about fighting a superstar like Conor McGregor is too, right? And that's a very real aspect. Is you could say, man, take the bias out of it, and maybe it's a split decision. Maybe Poirier can get the odd, but if it's a close fight because of Conor and who he is, he's getting the nod.
How pumped up were you when they had the face off? Like,
oh my gosh!
I mean, Conor just brings a certain element to the game. Like, love him or hate him, you got to respect what he's doing. You have to.
And this is what I love about the new Conor too, is shakes his hand, get right in his face, and they are all business and ready to go. And then he gives them the hot sauce, right? And then they're and they're cool again. But like he's cool with his opponents now. He's not worried about getting under their skin, but he's still laser beam focused.
Oh yeah, I think
and so Poirier. So's Poirier.
Yeah.
Make no mistake about it.
They're ready. I'm stoked, man. I'm so stoked for this. Like watching the weigh-ins and watching them face off. It's like, man, this is what it's all about. UFC pay-per-view. You got a mega superstar. You got a freaking. I mean, I would call Poirier a superstar. He's a fan favorite. How can you not like what Dustin Poirier has done? He's a hardworking. He's just a grinder. He's a working man.
If the Diaz brothers are superstars, Dustin Poirier is a superstar. Because he actually fights. Dude,
I mean, look at.
He's the man. Dustin Poirier, I love him.
Hooker. He loses to Khabib. Everybody loses to Khabib. He beats Max Holloway, Eddie Alvarez, Justin Gaethje, Anthony Pettis, Jim Miller, loses to Michael Johnson, Bobby Green, Joe Duffy, Yancy Medeiros, Diego Ferreira, loses to Conor McGregor. I'm like, who hasn't he fought? He's fought everybody.
Man. And now he's talking about to 170 after this, maybe even.
He beat Max Holloway a year and a half ago. Like,
and let's be clear. Everybody's talking about how great Max is.
Yeah.
And his boxing is. Dustin beat the brakes off Max Holloway.
Boxing. Yes. Boxing. And hey, props to Max for going up and taking that fight because he's fighting out of his element, fighting out of his weight class. He took that fight. But regardless, dude, Poirier's legit.
Oh, Poirier is legit, dude. Poirier is he's a different fighter. That's the other thing. That's why I don't think that he loses in 60 seconds this time.
No, I don't think so either.
He's a different fighter, and he's a better fighter.
I mean, I would love to see Poirier win, but the train will keep rolling regardless of who wins. But man, if McGregor wins, it just there's just so much hype there, still there. It's that's all everybody's going to be talking about is McGregor if he wins tomorrow. Like, that's it. Not that we weren't already doing that. Think if he wins tomorrow and they're going to be like, okay, who's next? Like, the hype train is rolling. Like, this year is going to be.
I've had people invite me over for like parties for McGregor. Nobody has UFC watch parties really that much anymore.
Yeah. But
McGregor's there, and I've been invited to like 3 or 4 like watch parties. And you know what? I love you, everybody, and I appreciate it. I just want to watch it in my basement, and so that I can just soak it in and just because regardless, let's say Poirier clips McGregor and knocks him out.
Yeah.
No matter what happens, that fight is going to be something incredible is going to happen in that fight.
And either way, even if Poirier does win, so what? McGregor's still a draw. Now we're 3 more months. You could get McGregor and Gaethje, and the hype train is just right back to where it is. And
no, that's the beauty with where McGregor's at. But if Poirier wins, now it's like, where does that put him?
Yeah, what do you do? I mean, I love Poirier.
But Khabib doesn't come back for Poirier. Then do Gaethje and Poirier too for the undisputed 155 champ, and it's a freaking party. That fight was great.
It was a banging fight.
Gaethje's better. Poirier's better. Like, that's an incredible fight too. There's no downside to this. That's the beauty. No matter who wins or loses, there's no downside to it.
This could be one of the best years in UFC history. Like, it just
if Conor's back, John Jones, right? You got the John Jones is coming back through heavyweight. I think that's fun. We finally, I just posted it on the Facebook page. We have
I saw the
Poirier McGregor, and then next month we have Usman Burns, and then the next month we have Adesanya Blachowicz, Nunez Anderson, and Jan Sterling. And then later in March, we get 2 pay-per-views in March. We have Miocic and Ngannou with Volkanovski and Ortega. That's our next 3 months. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pay-per-view, or 6 title fights, and the 7th being not a title fight, but it's freaking Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier.
I'm stoked, man. I am stoked. And what's next after this? We have
what's next after this? We're going to dinner tonight. Celebrate your birthday.
Dinner. Little Market Street. Yes.
Market Street.
Stoked.
Hey guys, and I know Jason's a big deal. The Damage Plan guy. Please don't come up and interrupt us while we're eating dinner and ask for his autograph.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to just, I just want to spend some time with my wife. Like,
spend some time with our friends and our wives, and
keep the social distance, please.
Yeah, please stop.
Hey, we know we've made it. If people are interrupting us for dinner and asking for our autograph, we've made it, man.
Not me, just you.
Made it. No, you're part of this too, man. Anyways, I'm freaking stoked. We only disagreed on 2 picks.
And we don't even strongly disagree that much on them.
No, and literally you could just flip a coin. It's not, it's crazy.
If you're going to do a DraftKings lineup, I'd love to hear
DraftKings.
I'd love to hear other people's lineups.
Do you have your lineup done already?
This fits within the budget.
Thank you, Max Holloway, last week, by the way. I was getting creamed, and I don't know why the guy I was playing didn't have Max Holloway, but he lost because of that.
So I would go Al Bazzi, who's the first fight of the night.
I like that. I like it a lot.
I have Amanda Ribas.
I like Ribas.
I have Juliana Pena.
Oh, you're gonna go Pena.
I got Jessica I.
Ooh.
I got Michael Chandler, and I got Conor McGregor.
Chandler and McGregor.
That's the thing. You got to pick some underdogs on DraftKings. You have to pick some underdogs. So
I'll have to take a look at it
because
you're better at the DraftKings than I am.
The three big for me the most probable of winning and getting a finish to me is Amanda Ribas, Conor McGregor, and Khalil Roundtree. Right. Those are the 3 big ones. You can really only afford to get 2 of those. If you do that, then you're going to start stretching on some other, I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's where I'm at.
All right. Well, enjoy the fights tomorrow. We will be back on Monday to talk about it and just, it's going to be exciting. I'm stoked. I'm so stoked. Hey, did I tell you I bought a new pistol? Not that you care. You don't have a carry. You don't have your concealed, do you?
I do.
Do you? What do you carry?
There's 380.
I sold my 380.
My wife's gun.
Dude, I sold my 380 on the Utah Gun Exchange.
And now you wish you didn't?
No, I was going to keep it. I just threw it on there for a ridiculous price, just thinking nobody would buy it, and somebody came and bought it, which is good because I got the P365 XL 6 Sawyer. I got my red dot scope. Got extended clip. Anyways, I don't know why I'm telling you guys about my gun, but here you go. I don't have hands like Zach, so
we got to get off because I drank that whole large swig and I got to pee
too. All right. See you guys on Monday. Enjoy the fights.